The gardens of Thessia bloomed in 17 different colors when the war machines arrived. Councillor Rethan stood among the floating flower platforms, watching the sky turn from soft amber to the harsh red of enemy scanners. The Thessian people had spent 8,000 years perfecting the art of biological architecture, growing cities from living crystal that sang in the wind. Now those songs were turning into screams. Rethan was old even by Thessian standards, his translucent skin showing the delicate network of light veins that pulsed with each heartbeat. He had lived through 3 peaceful centuries, guiding his people through diplomatic challenges and trade negotiations. He had never expected to see war. The Thessian way was harmony, growth, and patience. They could make deserts bloom and dead worlds sing with life, but they could not make weapons. The Krillian Dominion cared nothing for beauty. Their ships were angular and brutal, designed for one purpose: consumption. They moved through the galaxy like locusts, harvesting biological matter to fuel their ever-expanding empire. Thessia, with its rich genetic libraries and bioengineered ecosystems, was a prize beyond measure. Rethan watched as the first bombardment struck the northern continent. The explosions looked almost beautiful from this distance, like flowers blooming in fast motion. But he knew what each flash meant. Entire cities, millions of lives, centuries of careful cultivation gone in moments. He walked slowly to the communication tower, his feet leaving gentle impressions in the moss-covered pathway. Around him, younger Thessians rushed about in panic, their skin flickering between colors as their emotions overwhelmed their natural camouflage. Children cried. Elders tried to maintain calm. Everyone knew the truth. They had no weapons, no warships, no soldiers trained for combat. The Thessian Council had made their choice long ago. They would be gardeners of life, not dealers of death. Now that choice was killing them. Inside the tower, the emergency transmission system hummed with power. Rethan placed his hand on the organic interface, feeling it warm to his touch. The system was designed to reach across vast distances, to connect with the hundreds of species that made up the Galactic Cooperative. He had used it before to share discoveries, to invite friends to festivals, to coordinate scientific research. Today he would use it to beg. The recording device activated, its light pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Rethan took a breath and began to speak. This is Councillor Rethan of Thessia speaking on behalf of all my people. We are under attack by the Krillian Dominion. Our defenses have fallen. Our cities are burning. We have no weapons, no soldiers, no way to fight back. His voice remained steady despite everything. That was the Thessian way. Even in death, maintain dignity. We have heard rumors, stories told in the dark corners of space stations, whispered by traders who venture to the outer rim, tales of death worlders, species born on planets so hostile that survival itself is a form of warfare, beings who evolved not to create beauty but to endure horror. Outside, another explosion lit up the horizon. The tower shook slightly. Rethan continued. We always dismissed these stories. We thought them exaggerations, perhaps even propaganda meant to frighten peaceful civilizations into compliance with more aggressive powers. We believed that intelligence and cooperation were the highest evolutionary achievements. We believed that any species capable of spaceflight would share our values. His skin flickered a deep purple, the Thessian color of grief. We were wrong. The Krillians do not negotiate. They do not compromise. They simply take. And we cannot stop them. Rethan paused, gathering his courage for what came next. It went against everything his people believed, everything they had built their civilization upon. But desperation makes philosophers of us all. If Death Worlders exist, if there are species out there who understand violence in ways we cannot, I am asking for your help, not as a trade, not as an alliance, as a plea from the dying to those who might save them. We have nothing to offer you but our gratitude. We cannot even promise that we will survive long enough to give you that. He looked out through the transparent walls of the tower. The Krillian ships were descending now, moving into position for ground operations. Soon their harvester drones would be walking through the gardens, cutting down everything that lived. Our children are hiding in the root chambers beneath the capital. Our elders are trying to preserve what they can of our genetic libraries. Our artists are creating final works, hoping someone will remember we existed. This is what the end looks like for a peaceful people. Rethan closed his eyes. Please, if you can hear this, if you have the capability, if you have any compassion in your violent hearts, help us. The transmission ended. The device powered down. Rethan stood alone in the tower, watching his world die. 12,000 light-years away, Lieutenant Damian Cross sat in the observation deck of Research Station Perseus, watching the data streams flow past. Human space was deliberately small, carefully hidden. After achieving faster-than-light travel 200 years ago, humanity had made a choice. They would watch the galaxy before joining it. What they discovered had made them cautious. The galaxy was full of gentle species, peaceful civilizations that had evolved on kind worlds under stable suns. They built wonders and created art and explored the universe with curiosity and joy. They were also completely helpless against any species that chose violence. Damian had been monitoring the emergency frequencies. When Rathan's message arrived, the translation software took a moment to process the Thessian language, converting their musical tones into flat human speech. As he listened, his expression grew dark. He had heard these pleas before. Every few months, another peaceful species would cry out for help as some predatory empire destroyed them. The galactic community would express concern, hold meetings, draft strongly worded resolutions. Nothing ever changed. The strong devoured the weak, but this time was different. This time they had asked specifically for Deathworlders. Damian smiled. It was not a kind expression. It was the smile of a species that had climbed to the top of Earth's food chain by being more persistent, more adaptable, and more ruthless than anything else that had ever lived. He opened a priority channel to Earth Command. Sir, we have a situation. Permission to initiate first contact protocol. The response took 3 minutes to arrive. Permission granted. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The message reached the human fleet within hours. Ship after ship received the same orders. Prepare for combat operations in the Thessia system. For 2 centuries, humanity had built its forces in secret, creating vessels designed not for exploration, but for war. Now those preparations would be tested. Commander Tobias Grant stood on the bridge of the UHNS Valkyrie, watching his crew move through pre-jump checks with practiced efficiency. The Valkyrie was a destroyer-class vessel, medium-sized by human standards but massive compared to most alien ships. Its hull was painted matte black, designed to absorb sensor sweeps. Its weapons were hidden behind retractable panels. To an outside observer, it might look like a cargo hauler. It was not a cargo hauler. Status report, Grant said, his voice calm despite the adrenaline starting to flow through his system. This would be humanity's first military engagement with an alien species. Everything they did here would set the tone for how the galaxy saw them. All systems green, Commander, replied his tactical officer, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka. Weapons are charged, shields are calibrated, and the jump drive is ready. How many ships are joining us? The fleet is assembling now, sir. 12 destroyers, 6 frigates, 3 carriers, and the dreadnought Titan's Hammer. Admiral Okonkwo is commanding from the Hammer. Grant nodded. It was a substantial force designed to make a statement. Humanity was not just capable of violence. They excelled at it. Do we have updated intelligence on the Krillian forces? Yes, sir. Long-range scans show approximately 40 Krillian warships in the Thessia system. They are arranged in a standard harvesting formation, with the larger vessels in high orbit and smaller craft conducting ground operations. What about the Thessians? Yuki's expression darkened. Minimal resistance. Their ships appear to be civilian vessels attempting to evacuate population centers. The Krillians are targeting them without distinction. Grant felt anger rise in his chest. He pushed it down. Anger made you stupid, and stupid got you killed. But he filed the feeling away for later. These Krillians would learn what happened when you threatened innocent people in front of humans. Time to jump? 30 seconds, sir. Grant activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the commander. In 30 seconds, we will jump to the Thessia system and engage hostile forces. Our mission is to protect the Thessian people and eliminate the Krillian threat. Remember your training. Trust your team. And show these aliens why humanity earned the name Deathworlders. The countdown began. The ship vibrated as the jump drive built up power, warping space around them. Grant gripped the arms of his command chair, feeling the familiar sensation of reality bending. Then they jumped. Space twisted. Colors that had no names flashed past the viewports. For 3 subjective seconds that felt like hours, the Valkyrie existed in the space between spaces, traveling faster than light itself. They emerged into chaos. The Thesia system was beautiful even in its death throes. The planet below glowed with bioluminescent cities, though many were now dark where the Krillian bombardment had struck. 3 small moons orbited in close formation, their surfaces covered in the flowering gardens that the Thessians had cultivated over millennia. And everywhere, there were Krillian ships. They were ugly vessels, all sharp angles and exposed weapons. Their hulls were organic, grown rather than built, covered in a chitinous armor that gleamed dully in the system's yellow sun. They moved with insect-like precision, coordinating their attacks with hive mind efficiency. They did not expect the human fleet. Multiple hostile targets, Yuki called out, her fingers dancing across her tactical display. They are breaking formation. I think we surprised them. Good, Grant said. Let's keep them off balance. All ships engage at will. Prioritize vessels targeting civilians. The human fleet spread out, each ship moving to its assigned position with military precision. The Krillians were still reacting, trying to understand what had just appeared in their midst. Then the humans opened fire. The Valkyrie's main railgun spoke first, launching a tungsten slug at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile crossed the distance to the nearest Krillian cruiser in less than a second. The alien ship's organic armor, designed to absorb energy weapons, meant nothing against kinetic impact. The slug punched through the hull like paper, and the cruiser exploded in a burst of green flame. Across the battle space, other human ships were engaging. Missile swarms launched from the frigate-class vessels, each warhead guided by dedicated AI systems. They wove through defensive fire, adjusting their courses in real time, seeking vulnerable points in the Krillian formations. The carrier groups deployed their fighter wings, and hundreds of small craft poured into the void. Human pilots, trained in simulators that replicated zero-gravity combat with brutal accuracy, swept through the Krillian ranks like sharks through a school of fish. The Krillians fought back. Their weapons were powerful, beams of concentrated biological energy that could melt through most materials. But human ships were built different. Their armor was layered, designed to ablate and disperse energy attacks. Their shields used technology adapted from Earth's most violent natural phenomena, miniature magnetic fields that could deflect plasma. More importantly, human tactics were different. The Krillians had conquered dozens of species using the same strategy, overwhelming force applied without mercy. They expected their enemies to break and run. Humans did not break. Humans did not run. The destroyer Nemesis took a direct hit from a Krillian dreadnought, its forward shields collapsing under the assault. Instead of retreating, the Nemesis accelerated straight at the larger ship, its crew roaring battle cries as they closed the distance. They rammed the dreadnought at full thrust, their reinforced bow tearing through its organic hull. Both ships went spinning into the void, but the Nemesis crew evacuated in escape pods while the dreadnought broke apart. Krillians are attempting to retreat, Yuki reported. Their command ships are pulling back toward the system's edge. Don't let them, Grant ordered. If they escape, they will return with reinforcements. End this now. The Titan's hammer moved into position, the massive dreadnought dwarfing everything else in the system. Its main weapon, a particle accelerator that ran the length of the ship, began to charge. Energy built up, crackling along the barrel with visible lightning. Then it fired. The beam of accelerated particles crossed the system in heartbeats, striking the lead Krillian command vessel dead center. The alien ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. The remaining Krillian ships broke formation entirely, scattering in panic. They had never faced an enemy like this. In their entire history of conquest, they had never encountered species that fought with such coordination, such technology, such absolute ruthlessness. Human ships hunted them down one by one. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, not a single Krillian vessel remained operational in the Thesia system. Counselor Rethan watched from his tower as the strange black ships moved through orbit, methodical and precise. They made no broadcasts, sent no demands. They simply eliminated the threat and then took up defensive positions around his planet. He was not sure whether to feel saved or terrified. The communication system activated without warning, making Rethan jump. A face appeared on the display, alien in its structure but somehow more unsettling in its familiarity. 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, the same basic pattern as a dozen species in the galaxy. But there was something different in those eyes. Something ancient and dangerous. "Counselor Rethan," the alien said in perfect Thessian, though the accent was strange, "I am Commander Tobias Grant of the United Human Naval Service. We received your distress call." Rethan stared at the image. His skin had gone completely white, the Thessian response to overwhelming shock. "You are the Death Worlders." "We are humans," Grant corrected gently. "And yes, by galactic standards, we come from a death world. Earth is a planet of extremes. Violent weather, aggressive predators, and constant danger. Our species evolved to survive in those conditions. You destroyed the entire Krillian fleet. We eliminated a threat to your people. The Krillians have been allowed to terrorize peaceful species for too long. That ends today." Rethan felt his legs weaken. He sat down on the moss-covered floor, trying to process what had happened. His people had been hours from extinction. Now they were saved by creatures from the stories that frightened children. "Why?" he asked. "We have nothing to offer you. No resources you need. No technology you lack. Why would you risk your lives for strangers?" Grant was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. "Because someone needs to. The galaxy is full of species like yours. Peaceful people who want nothing more than to grow and create and live in harmony. And the galaxy is also full of species like the Krillians who see that peace as weakness to exploit. You could join them. With your power, you could take whatever you wanted." "We could," Grant agreed. "But that's not who we are. Yes, humans come from a violent world. Yes, we are good at warfare. But we are also good at protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We evolved as pack animals, as tribes, as communities that took care of each other. That instinct did not disappear when we reached the stars." Rethan felt something shift inside him. His skin began to glow again, this time with a soft gold, the color of hope. "What happens now?" "Now we establish a defensive perimeter around your system. We will stay until we are certain the Krillian threat is eliminated. Then we will help you rebuild, and we will offer you a choice." "What choice?" "You can remain independent, and we will respect that. Or you can join what we are building, a new alliance. Not one based on trade or mutual interest, but on a simple principle. The strong protect the weak." Rethan stood, his confidence returning. "The Galactic Cooperative already exists. They have laws, councils, treaties." "And how did the Cooperative respond to your distress call?" Grant asked, but his tone was not cruel. It was simply honest. Rethan had no answer. The Cooperative had expressed sympathy. They had scheduled emergency meetings. They had drafted resolutions. They had done everything except actually help. "We humans have a saying," Grant continued. "Evil triumphs when good people do nothing. The galaxy is full of good people, Counselor. Your species proves that. But goodness without the ability to enforce it is just wishful thinking. We are offering to be that enforcement. You would be our guardians. We would be partners. You have gifts we lack. The ability to heal worlds, to create beauty, to find harmony. We have gifts you lack. The ability to stand against darkness. Together, we would be stronger than either of us alone." On the surface of Thessia, people were emerging from their shelters. They looked up at the sky, seeing the strange ships that had saved them. Children pointed at the sleek black vessels. Elders wept with relief. Artists were already planning murals to commemorate the day. Rethan made his decision. "We accept. Not because we are afraid, though we have learned fear today. And not because we are weak, though we have learned our limitations. We accept because we recognize truth. The galaxy needs protectors, and you have proven yourselves worthy of that role." Grant smiled. It was a genuine expression, warm and kind. It made him look less like a warrior and more like a friend. "Welcome to the Alliance, Counselor. Together, we will make sure no one else has to send a distress call like yours." The transmission ended, leaving Rethan alone with his thoughts. Through the tower windows he could see his people beginning to rebuild. The gardens would grow again. The cities would sing once more, but they would do so under the protection of the strangest guardians the galaxy had ever known. Deathworlders with kind hearts. Warriors who chose mercy. Predators who hunted only those who preyed on the innocent. Humans. In orbit, the human fleet maintained its watch. Commander Grant stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, looking down at the beautiful blue and green world below. It reminded him of Earth in some ways, the same commitment to life. The same celebration of growth and beauty. His tactical officer approached. "Sir, we are receiving messages from 17 other species. They heard what happened here. They are requesting our protection." Grant nodded slowly. This was just the beginning. Humanity had hidden for 2 centuries, watching and learning. Now they were stepping onto the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same. Send responses to all of them. Tell them we are coming. Tell them the age of prey is over. He looked out at the stars, thinking about all the peaceful species out there. All the children who were afraid. All the people who just wanted to live in harmony. Tell them the Deathworlders have arrived. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, the predators who had terrorized the galaxy for so long felt the first stirrings of something they had never known before. Fear. Because humanity had not come to conquer, they had come to protect. And there is nothing more dangerous than someone fighting not for themselves, but for those they have chosen to defend. The message spread across the galaxy at the speed of light, carried by countless transmissions and whispered in 1,000 languages. If you hear a distress call, if you see the innocent threatened, if you face darkness that you cannot overcome alone, do not despair. Call for the humans, they will answer. 3 months passed since the Battle of Thessia, and the galaxy was transforming in ways no one had predicted. Commander Tobias Grant stood in what had once been an abandoned trading station on the edge of civilized space. Now it was something entirely new. Sanctuary Station, the headquarters of the Human Protection Initiative. The station bustled with activity. Thessian engineers worked alongside human technicians, combining biological architecture with military efficiency. The walls themselves were alive, grown from Thessian crystal that could repair damage and adapt to different atmospheric requirements. But hidden within that beauty were human weapons systems, shield generators, and communication arrays that could reach across the galaxy. Grant walked through the main plaza, nodding to the various species he passed. There were Thessians, of course, their skin glowing with colors that indicated contentment and purpose. But there were also Mindari, a species of small furry beings whose homeworld had been saved from mining corporations. There were Quailoth, aquatic people whose ocean planet had been protected from terraforming fleets. There were dozens of species, all of them formerly helpless, now working together under human protection. Admiral Rebecca Okonkwo met him at the observation deck. She was a tall woman with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She had commanded the Titan's Hammer during the Thessian operation, and now she oversaw all human military operations in this sector. "The Council is waiting," she said, falling into step beside him. "How many this time?" Grant asked. 5 new species requesting protection, 2 more wanting to join the Alliance formally, and 3 asking for help dealing with what they call aggressive neighbors. Grant sighed. The work never ended. Every day brought new requests, new crises, new situations that required careful navigation. But that was the choice humanity had made. They would be the shield for those who could not defend themselves. They entered the council chamber, a circular room with a transparent dome that showed the stars above. Representatives from 30 species sat in a ring, each at stations designed for their specific biology. Some breathed oxygen, others methane, others required aquatic environments. Human engineering had made it possible for them all to gather in one place. Counselor Rethan was there, his skin glowing a confident blue. He had become one of the strongest voices in the Alliance, using his people's diplomatic skills to help negotiate between species. Beside him sat Speaker Vone of the Mindari, her whiskers twitching as she reviewed data on a holographic display. "Commander Grant," Rethan said, his musical voice filling the chamber. "We have received a troubling message from the Galactic Cooperative. They are demanding that we cease our military operations and submit to their jurisdiction." Grant had been expecting this. The Cooperative was the old power structure. Hundreds of species bound together by trade agreements and mutual defense pacts that had proven worthless when actual defense was needed. They were comfortable with the status quo, where the strong did as they pleased and the weak suffered in silence. Humanity's intervention had disrupted that balance. "What specifically are they demanding?" Grant asked. "They claim we are violating established territorial boundaries. They say our presence destabilizes the established order. They are threatening sanctions against any species that continues to work with us." Speaker Vone's fur bristled with agitation. "They did not care about boundaries when the mining fleets came to strip our world. They did not worry about stability when my children were starving, because corporations had poisoned our food chains. Now that someone actually helps us, suddenly there are rules." Grant raised a hand for calm. "The Cooperative is afraid. They have built their entire system on the assumption that violence is rare and can be managed through diplomacy. We have proven that assumption wrong, not by being violent ourselves, but by being willing to use force to protect the innocent. So what do? Rethan asked. We respond with honesty. We are not trying to overthrow the cooperative. We are not claiming territory or demanding tribute. We are simply doing what should have been done centuries ago, ensuring that peaceful species can live without fear. Admiral Okonkwo stepped forward, projecting a star map into the center of the chamber. Red zones marked areas where aggressive species operated freely. Blue zones showed systems under human protection. The blue was spreading. The truth is, we are winning not through conquest but through trust. Every species we protect becomes a testament to what the galaxy could be. Every world that no longer lives in fear is proof that a better way exists. A new voice spoke up. It was Ambassador Threll of the Korvaxi, a species of insectoid beings who had joined the Alliance just 2 weeks ago. Their planet had been blockaded by pirates for years, with the cooperative doing nothing but sending observers. Human destroyers had broken the blockade in 4 hours. The cooperative fears you because you have revealed their irrelevance. Threll clicked, his translated words sharp. They maintained order by allowing the strong to prey on the weak as long as it was done quietly. You have made that impossible. You force them to acknowledge that their system has failed. Grant nodded, which means they will try to undermine us. They will spread rumors that humans are secretly building an empire. They will claim we have hidden motives. They will try to turn species against us through fear. Let them try, Rethan said, his skin flashing with determination. My people were dying. You saved us and asked for nothing in return. That is not the action of conquerors. That is the action of heroes. The word hung in the air. Heroes. Grant was not comfortable with it. Heroes were supposed to be perfect, noble, without flaw. Humans were none of those things. They were capable of great violence and terrible cruelty. Their history was full of wars and atrocities, of times when they had been the monsters in their own stories. But they were also capable of compassion, sacrifice, and choosing to be better than their worst impulses. That was the real strength of humanity. Not that they came from a death world, but that they had chosen to use their deadly skills in defense of life rather than in pursuit of power. We need to make a statement, Admiral Okonkwo said. Something that makes our intentions clear to both the cooperative and to the species who might need our help. Grant thought for a moment, then nodded. Open a broadcast on all frequencies. It is time the galaxy heard from humanity directly. 10 minutes later, Grant stood alone in the communications center. The message would be transmitted across every known channel, translated into every major language, and would reach billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. It was humanity's formal introduction to the galaxy. The camera activated and Grant spoke. My name is Tobias Grant, and I speak on behalf of the human species. 3 months ago, we revealed ourselves to the galaxy when we responded to a distress call from the Thessian people. Since then, we have been asked many questions. Who are humans? What do we want? Why have we intervened in galactic affairs? He paused, choosing his words carefully. Humans come from a planet called Earth. It is a world of extremes where survival requires constant adaptation and where danger is a part of daily life. We evolved as predators, yes, but also as pack animals who protected each other. We learned to use tools, to plan, to fight. These skills made us the dominant species on our world. Grant's expression grew serious. We achieved spaceflight 200 years ago. When we reached the stars, we discovered a galaxy full of wonders. Species who could grow living cities. Species who could sing with the stars. Species who had achieved things we could only dream of. And we discovered that these beautiful, peaceful species lived in constant fear. He leaned forward slightly. We watched from the shadows as aggressive empires conquered and enslaved. We listened to distress calls that went unanswered. We saw the Galactic Cooperative hold meetings and draft resolutions while innocent people died. And we made a choice. His voice grew stronger. We chose to help. Not because we want to rule. Not because we seek resources or territory, but because we believe that the ability to protect others comes with the responsibility to do so. We call it being a guardian. Some call it being a death worlder. The name does not matter. What matters is the action. Grant gestured broadly. To the peaceful species of the galaxy, we offer our protection. If you are threatened, call for us. We will come. We will not ask for payment. We will not demand loyalty. We will simply do what is right, because that is who we have chosen to be." His expression hardened. "To the aggressive species, the conquerors, the enslavers, we offer a warning. The age of easy prey is over. Every peaceful species now has guardians. Every act of aggression will be met with force. You have lived without consequences for too long. That ends now." He softened again, addressing the camera directly. "To the Galactic Cooperative, we offer partnership. We are not your enemies. We are not trying to replace you. But we will not stop protecting those who need protection, regardless of your politics or procedures. You can work with us to create a better galaxy, or you can stand aside. The choice is yours." Grant took a breath. "Humanity has a saying. We judge ourselves by our intentions, but others judge us by our actions. So judge us by what we do. We have saved 13 species from extinction. We have stopped 4 wars. We have protected 42 worlds from exploitation. These are our actions. These are our intentions made real." He stood straight, military bearing evident. "We are human. We come from a death world. We know violence and warfare and all the dark arts of survival, but we also know loyalty, compassion, and sacrifice. We have climbed from the chaos of our violent world not to spread that violence, but to stand against it." His final words were quiet but firm. "The monsters of this galaxy have had free reign for too long. That ends today, not because humanity seeks war, but because we are willing to wage it in defense of peace. We are the shield for those who cannot fight. We are the sword against those who prey on the innocent. We are humanity." He smiled slightly. "And we are here to help." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions watched and listened, some with hope, some with fear, some with anger at having their comfortable order disrupted. On Thessia, families gathered in the gardens to watch the message together. Children who had hidden in fear just months ago now played under skies protected by human ships. Elders who thought they would die watching their world burn now planted trees that would grow for centuries. On dozens of other worlds, species who had lived in quiet desperation began to hope. They looked at the stars and realized they were not alone. They had guardians now. They had humans. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, in the command centers of aggressive empires and criminal syndicates, a new reality set in. The galaxy had changed. The prey had found protectors. The weak had found strength. Counselor Rathan stood in his tower watching the human ships patrol his skies. His skin glowed gold with hope, touched with blue of contentment and green of peace. He thought about his desperate message 3 months ago, his plea to unknown deathworlders who might not exist. They had existed, they had come, and they had proven that violence and compassion were not opposites. Sometimes the greatest act of love was standing between danger and those you had chosen to protect. The galaxy was learning that lesson now. The gentle species were learning that they did not have to accept victimhood. The aggressive species were learning that actions had consequences, and the Galactic Cooperative was learning that order maintained through inaction was not order at all. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not with conquest or demands, but with a simple promise: call for help, and we will answer. It was a promise they intended to keep, not for glory or power or recognition, but because it was right, because someone needed to, because the strong had a duty to protect the weak, because that was what it meant to be human. In orbit above Sanctuary Station, Commander Grant looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, someone might be facing their darkest hour. Someone might be sending out a desperate call, hoping for salvation that seemed impossible. He smiled, knowing that now when they called, someone would answer. The Deathworlders would come, and the galaxy would be better for it. Not because humans were perfect, not because they were heroes without flaw, but because they had made a choice. To use their strength not for domination but for protection. To stand not above others but beside them. To be guardians rather than conquerors. That was the true power of humanity. Not their weapons or their tactics or their willingness to fight. It was their willingness to fight for others. To sacrifice for strangers. To answer calls for help even when there was no reward. The message humanity sent that day would echo through history. Not the formal broadcast, but the message sent by every action, every intervention, every world saved. The message was simple: you are not alone. You are not helpless. You are protected. And in a galaxy that had forgotten what it meant to stand against darkness, that message changed everything. The end was really just the beginning of a new age. An age where peace was not maintained by fear or apathy, but by those willing to fight for it. An age where the gentle species of the galaxy could finally look to the stars without terror. An age where humanity, the Deathworlders from the violent world of Earth, became the guardians the galaxy had always needed, but never dared to hope for. And it all started with one desperate message. If Deathworlders are real, please help us. They were real. They helped. And the galaxy would never be the same.